Let's get into how I took this Space Marine from this to this. First, you're going to want to hit it with a matte varnish. You want to make sure it's a matte varnish because later on we're going to use something that really needs that matte surface. You can use airbrush or rattle can, it doesn't really matter, but make sure you give it a couple hours to really set. To grime it up, we're going to be using villainy inks. I started with a 1-to-1 ratio of Goons Grime to enamel thinner, but it was a little thin, so towards the end I moved over to 2 parts Goons Grime to 1 part thinner. This first application was the 1-to-1 and it wasn't really doing much, so this is where I decided to add additional Goons Grime. To make things a little quicker, I went with the widest brush that I had for quick application. Here's where I started using the 2 parts Goons Grime to 1 part thinner. And as you can see, the Space Marine is actually turning more brown, and that's what I was really going for. Here you can see me just like slathering this stuff on. The most important thing here to remember is that you want to make sure you get this stuff into the crevices, because all the raised edges, you're going to be removing the Goons Grime, so it's just going to go away. It'll add a tint, but really you want that stuff in the recesses so it looks like it's been in battle, grime, dirt, and all that stuff has been collecting in those recesses. Once the Space Marine is fully covered in Goons Grime, you're going to want to give the enamel paint some time to dry. I took a hair dryer to it for like a minute just to speed up the process. And you do want to make sure that you give the Goons Grime some time to dry. That way when you get to the removal phase, the whole thing has the brown tint and it looks more unified. In the removal phase, you're just going to need a cotton swab and enamel thinner. Dip the cotton swab in the thinner and then just start wiping away on like raised surfaces. The cotton swab will prevent you from getting into like crevices, which is perfect because that's exactly what we want to avoid doing. You're going to want to do this throughout the whole Space Marine's body. If you feel like you're in a rush because there's a ton of stuff to do, no need to worry. Enamel thinner will reactivate any of the paint, so you have a ton of working time. Once you're done wiping away all the enamel that you want to, give the Space Marine a little bit of time so that all that enamel thinner evaporates. For the glowing eye effect, you're just going to want to take a red paint and apply it to the lenses. I want to say like 90% coverage. It's going to look really bright when you apply it, but don't worry, give it some time. It darkens as it dries. And you're going to want to add that same paint to just under the eye lens. And again, it's going to look really bright, but like, don't worry, it's going to dry a little darker. I applied 2 coats of Vallejo Model Color Red just to try to get full saturation. To push that glowing effect even further, I added a little bit of white to the lenses, and that's because I'm going to go over that with a red ink. And inks have a bit of a transparent quality to them, which is perfect for what we need here. And that's everything. So you're not really working on this too long. You don't need any fancy techniques. The dry time does make it a little longer, but what I did was look for any window that I had to kind of work on stuff while something was drying. I would go about my day, and yeah, that's pretty much it.